What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Orange Zone Podcast. A reminder, you can find every episode on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, what's up from the Skycam? Appreciate you subscribing, liking, commenting. We've been getting great feedback, and we're absolutely loving it. Today, we're getting into SU men's hoops, SU women's hoops. We're also getting into some trivia. It's a good, fun show happening to you, and we have a great crew. Tommy Sladek, Samantha Croston. We have SU's all-time leading scorer, Lawrence Poetry and Moten, and we have Rachel Culver on the producer mic. Rachel, put the camera on you. Let the folks say hello. How we doing?
Hello.
How you feeling?
You know, I'm all right.
Yeah?
I'm hanging in there.
Good. How's the headache?
Headache is better. I have revived myself from yesterday's struggles, and we push forward.
We've just been going. People just go down this time of year. I was down for the count for a bit. The Syracuse men's basketball team, they were down over the weekend bad. In fact, it was a historic loss, which you never want to talk about. And they responded in a big way, beating Pitt 69-58 in Pittsburgh at the Peterson. Oakland Zoo in attendance, and they got it done. Poetry, immediate reaction from last night.
Great win, first of all. Gut check. You know, I can say that, Tom. You know, what's very important is when you get beat as bad as you did in North Carolina, you're going to see how much you take that and come back from that. And they did a very good job of playing in Pitt, a hard team to beat on the road. And they did that. Great team play. You know, I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I got something to say in a couple of minutes that I think will be very important for the success for this university's team.
Why are you holding out? Why are you holding out on us?
Do we address this right now?
We
gotta let it materialize.
You know Moten. He needs to kind of let it cook, let it simmer a little bit.
We're gonna let it flow. But I honestly, I'll get it out the way.
Let's do it.
These next 3 games, after beating Pitt, I think is going to be the next step up the ladder to give us a chance of making the NCAA.
Boom. Right there.
He said it.
From 12-5 to 15-5. 3 home games. We've been protecting our home court.
That's the big part right here.
And then I think we'll take care of the rest. I said 22-9 by the end of the year.
That would feel great. That would feel great. And those
you
3 games,
anticipate that they'll win the next 3 games coming up.
Absolutely at home.
There you go.
That's the goal.
So it's Miami coming to town on Saturday, noon start. It feels like the first normal Saturday game we've had in so long. You know, not including the holidays or anything. Because there's a lot of home games coming up. It's been a minute. You then have FSU coming into town on Tuesday, and then the following Saturday, North Carolina State. All 3 are winnable games. All 3 are also games where we could see things going a little haywire.
Absolutely.
But that's the whole point of why Poetry brought that up, because this is a huge, huge opportunity for them here in late January.
Especially because I do feel like to start the year, they've had away games. They've had games at neutral sites. The fact that you have not only a game at home, but 3 games in a row, I feel like it's the opportunity to regain that momentum. And it actually started on the road against Pitt because, again, the biggest thing that stuck out to me was the fact that they could recover so quickly from the UNC loss. Yes. I feel like it was a tough loss emotionally, I'm sure, to see that you were down so badly. And then to come back on the road against Pitt and really have what I thought was probably the best collective team win that they've had, the most balanced team win that they've had all season. It shows a lot about their ability to recover. And we've seen that in the past, right? We've seen that against Colgate and some of the lower level teams, even in game. But I think it says a lot about this team's mentality moving forward. And I have to say I agree with Moten. I think maybe you don't have to win 3 out of the next 3, but 2 out of the next 3 seems like a milestone this team's trying to reach.
I think tournament, though, I think you need those 3. Because we've seen it, end of the day, you know, what is similar this team has compared to, you know, last year's team is, and actually the year before that, is they're beating the teams they're supposed to be beating, and they're losing to the top 25 teams. Yeah. And that's what, you know,
and losing badly.
And that's what 2021 and those teams, you know, kind of in the last 7-8 years that did make the tourney, is they had those wins over the ranked programs. This team isn't showing that right now. So it's these games right here where it's you got to stack those wins. Absolutely. And you have to get those quad ones. And, of course, the quads are what we're paying big attention to. Last night, Pitt was a quad win, 1 win. Right now, they're not. And the quad is used with net rankings, which the selection committee uses to help determine who makes the big dance. And if you are playing an away game against a top 75 net ranked team, that means quad 1, neutral site is, I believe, 50, and home is top 25. So that's already out. But as Poetry brought up before the show, we were keeping track of Oregon. Syracuse fans, you root for the Ducks now because they are number 51. That was a neutral site, so that gets in the top 50, and boom, you're looking at a quad 1 win.
And you root for Pitt now, too. That's the thing.
Yeah.
All of these are things that could change. It just depends on what these teams do with the rest of their season, which is really weird in a way that the success of your season also relies on the success or failure of other teams, too. But
Right.
let's see. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Rooting for Pitt, rooting for Oregon now.
And last night's win, again, just a great effort all around. The first half, I thought they played terrific. We saw that moment where Kadir Copeland, Benny Williams got a little bit of a pushing and shoving match with the Pitt players. Luckily, technicals offset, they let them play on. I think, the refs saw it as we saw it.
Yeah,
It just felt like a rivalry game.
absolutely.
And they're just getting a little scrappy and playing. Who stuck out to you the most, if there is one player, or was there a moment for you?
Well, there was moments, like Sam said, everybody contributed and played well. Bell came off hitting some threes. I was finally happy to see Justin make some threes for a change. And Copeland came in and did his job. Benny played solid. It was an all-around team effort. JJ came through.
17 for JJ. I thought he looked confident as heck, man.
He has a real good mid-range game. JJ, if you're looking or you're listening, mid-range is your thing, buddy. You're not a three-ball guy. Let's keep it real. You're a great penetrator, and you can hit the mid-range shot consistently. I've seen it, so do it.
I love when he cooks one-on-one. It's so fun to watch.
Yeah, I was going to say, J.J. Starling's the person that stuck out for me, led the way for Syracuse, 17 points on 7 for 11 shooting, including 2 for 5 from 3. I mean, actually, the whole team, I thought, shot pretty well from behind the arc. But in general, shot 47% from the floor and went 10 for 17 from three-point range. Really one of the best shooting outings of the season entirely. But I'm happy that you brought JJ up, because I feel like that's something that all Syracuse fans have been interested in and focused on this entire season, is Syracuse's backcourt. And it felt like this was the opportunity and the moment where you saw JJ Starling really step it up, and the offense flowing through him in many ways.
Yeah. He's been playing really solid the whole year, I would say. And people need to understand, it's not easy when you're from Syracuse, born and raised, and have to come out and play, and people are expecting so much out of you. He's doing his job. He's doing what's asked of him, and that's all we can ask.
Yeah, when you're the local legend, the expectations are just higher, and so I never blame people. No matter how much they love their hometown school when they go away. And a perfect example is Syer Torrance from CBA in football. A lot of people expect him to go to Syracuse, and it's a bit of a bummer. We love watching him. We love to see him in orange, but end of the day, when you grow up somewhere, sometimes you're dying to see something else.
Yeah, speaking from experience, coming out of high school, I was going to go to Maryland University.
Wow.
It was close to home. I signed a letter of intent, me and Daniel Marshall, and things happened the way they did, and they didn't accept us, and Syracuse was my second choice. And as I think about it, I definitely, God makes no mistakes, but it was the perfect thing, because I didn't have to worry about giving my friends tickets or worrying about people, bashing me when I didn't play well or anything. I went up to Syracuse 6 hours away. I could stay focused on my own and handle my business, and I did that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Rachel, what stuck out to you last night? I know you have down here a very interesting stat about Pitt's one of their big players and what the Syracuse defense was able to do to stop him.
Yeah, I mean, Pitt's Carlton Carrington, who's their stud freshman.
What a name, by the way.
I think he's also the youngest player in the entire ACC right now, which is pretty cool.
Like 17 or something
like that?
Yeah,
he's like a child, but he averaged 17 points coming into the game and was held scoreless on 0 to 10 shooting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And 0 to 7 from three-point range. So I thought that was a really good display of just the defensive effort that Syracuse put in last night.
Yeah,
absolutely. And he's an NBA guy. He's definitely a pro, big guard. Carmelo Anthony is a guy who he looks up to a lot. He's from the Baltimore area, you know, and I know a couple of the Baltimore guys who talk highly of him before he even got to Pitt. So the sky's the limit for him. He's going to be a good player, but I'm glad he didn't play well against us.
Big time.
Yeah, I have to say, listen, end of the day, Syracuse has just done a good job against Pitt in general, man, pulling off the regular season sweep. I think it's important to also note that they held the Panthers to just 35% shooting overall, 5 of 26 from deep. Like, Pitt did not have a good shooting night last night, and Syracuse did, and ultimately that was the difference. I'd still like to see even more offensive production from Syracuse, even though that was the story, because, again, if Pitt was shooting a little bit better, I do think that this really was a 50-50 game going into it. Anybody could have won it. Syracuse did all the little things that made the big difference.
Big time. And good question here from Rachel in our notes. She says, you know, in a couple early games, we saw a pretty balanced production from Mintz and J.J. Starling. How does the team get back to that? And do you see Autry developing the offense into one where they can both shine? Or do you think there will be one that's, you know, a bigger offensive threat throughout the season? I have a few thoughts on this. And I don't want to say outwitted myself. I think I was just wrong in that I felt that if one of them didn't have a game, the other was going to have a game in order for Syracuse to win. And in some games that's applied. But it's the production and the development of Chris Bell and Malik Brown and Kadir Copeland that has me thinking we don't need to have that. It's certainly a bonus. But I think there's other guys that can be the ones that go and put up 25 points, where in the beginning of the season, I really didn't think that was going to be the case. What about you guys?
Yeah. Well, I think that personally, we still don't have a consistent number 2 scorer.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
it's a rotation, right?
It's a rotation of
Is that good or
players.
bad?
Right. That's really the question.
That's not good.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good. I would like 2 consistent scores that we know will get 15 to 18 points consistently each game.
Right.
I think will give us a better understanding of the team we have, you know. But overall, you know, everybody's really playing hard, and I like the rotation that Adrian is doing. You know, giving guys a chance. You know, even putting the young guy in Curry at the center position. You know, he's active.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's committing fouls, but he has to learn the game. He's very active, and we're going to need him now that the big guy is going to be out for the season.
Exactly.
So that's going to be. I think that'll help him going into. The more he'll play, the more it'll help him for sure.
Right. And Naheem McLeod, starting center at the beginning of the year, 7'4" transfer. He's out for the season, had surgery on his foot, and it's one of those where I think we all realized pretty quickly that he was coming in only averaging 14 points a game. Mm-hmm. Malik Brown was quickly coming in and taking that role. But the big question, in the first time we saw it was last night, where, okay, Malik Brown is 6'8". He plays like a bigger dude for sure. We all give him credit for that. Yeah. But in a case like Pitt, where they have, you know, sometimes a 4 and a 5 on the court at the same time, where Federico, they're both 7 foot, you know. Yeah. That's when you have the Monir Hema or Peter Carey. It was kind of, what are we going to see? Because Autry is going to need to adjust when they're playing really tall teams. And last time was the first time we saw it.
I agree with that. And to answer Rachel's question just concisely, I do think, yes, there is a version of the story where you can have an offense where J.J. Starling and Judah Mintz are both shining, maybe not exactly at the same time, but they're rotating out or they're playing off of each other. But I do think while we might not have that number 2 consistent scorer, I feel encouraged by the fact that there are so many other guys on the team who are showing some kind of production value. I mean, even you mentioned Justin Taylor, you know, those 2 threes, they mattered. It was only 2 threes, but they felt important.
Absolutely, Sam. They did feel important. But I'm going to give you the number 2 scorer who I think.
Ooh, I love this. Love it.
If he just, it's in him, but he doesn't know it's in him yet, and that's Malik Brown. Malik Brown could be our consistent number 2 scorer, because at the end of the day, we're definitely going to need that going into the latter part of the season and hopefully into the NCAA tournament. You're going to need an inside game. And he has the potential, but I don't think there's times where I see him and I say, go, just go. Adrian's letting you play, just go. and he's still passing it and screening when you have the shot. And most of his points are off of putbacks.
Mm-hmm.
You really haven't seen him get the ball on the post and make a move. And that's why I think that we need to get him to give him the confidence to want to do that.
Red said exactly that after the Duke game when he had the 26 points. He's like, I think he's just starting to get there. And, it's probably something that he's been trying to tell him for a while. But just having a game like that, I'm sure that did wonders to his confidence. But now it's just about finding that consistency.
And, of course, this is never something that you want, but you almost wonder if with Naheem McLeod out now that encourages or inspires that kind of what you're talking about, offensive production.
Yeah. He definitely has the talent, definitely.
Yeah. Well, Ashley Wenskoski, she was at Pitt last night. Good friend, part of the program. So we're gonna toss it to her as she gives us a little bit of a recap and some sound with the guys who were pretty happy about the win. Here's Ashley from the Steel City.
Hey guys, well, Syracuse men's basketball really needed a bounce back win here tonight in Pittsburgh at the Peterson Event Center, and boy did they get it. SU needed a get-right game after that blowout loss to North Carolina this weekend. If not for the stats on paper, they really just needed it for morale. This is the time in the season, mid-January, where teams can go on a slide, if they continue to carry over some bad momentum from losses like the North Carolina game. That was the biggest program loss in program history to an ACC opponent in a decade, and one of the biggest losses in Syracuse men's basketball history since 2006. So it's fair to say that they needed a get-right game here today, and they got it. They played a really complete team win, and they really did better in some of those areas that we've been kind of harping on them the last few months: three-point shooting and defense. Now, from 3 points, Pittsburgh clearly read the stat sheet that indicated that Syracuse was one of the worst three-point teams in the ACC, because they were even playing some first-half zone in this game, and Syracuse took advantage of that. They had 7 players here tonight in Pittsburgh who hit a three-pointer, including Chris Bell, hit 3, I believe. Benny Williams, Quadir Copeland, Judah Mintz, and Kyle Cuff even saw some action tonight as well. And we did see Justin Taylor hit a couple of shots, which is something that Orange fans have been really looking for throughout this season. So things were rolling on offense. Syracuse with a 69-58 win here over Pittsburgh. So rolling on offense, but on defense they looked great as well. They really guarded Pittsburgh. Now Pitt has the 4th leading scorer in the ACC in Blake Hinson, and that's something that Syracuse has really done well in their 2 games against them. Syracuse sweeping the season series here tonight. They held Hinson to 11 points when they beat Pitt at the Dome in December, and they held him to 12 tonight. So that's something that was impressive by the Orange defense, and something that they will look to build off of for sure. There was a little bit of a scuffle here in the middle of the field about halfway through the game, or I believe it was in the 3rd quarter. You have to check me on that one. But I believe it was in the 3rd quarter. Quadir Copeland kind of falling in the middle of the court and getting into a scuffle with some Pitt players, had to be kind of separated by his teammates. And I did ask the players in the post-game locker room if they feel that Syracuse-Pitt is kind of a rivalry dating back to the Big East days, because you can kind of feel that these two teams, when they're on the court, don't really like each other. There's a little bit of a fire, a little bit of a different momentum when these two teams are playing each other. And Quadir kind of laughed. He said, not more than any other team, not more than any other conference opponent. But I do think that that was something that kind of shows the spark that was in this team, right? After the UNC loss, they really came out and they played with a different fire tonight. That incident with Copeland didn't turn out to be much of anything. Judah Mintz got him back to the bench, and the game went on with technical fouls called on Benny Williams and a Pittsburgh player as well. But that's my biggest takeaway here tonight, is that it was great to see the Orange play with a spark. It definitely feels like this could have been a turning point for them if they laid down and died here on the road in Pittsburgh, or they came out with the fire that they came out with and really seemed to be out to prove something here after that Carolina loss. Now, this qualifies as a quad 1 win for SU, and as of right now, it is their first quad 1 win of the season. They did have one before in that neutral site game in South Dakota to Oregon, but that has now moved to a quad 2 win. And of course, we know that those become ever so important when it comes to March resumes. So getting one here in Pittsburgh was definitely great, because they only have 5 more opportunities to do that as of right now on the schedule, and they're kind of a bubble team at the moment. So Any win will do, and of course, always great to get one over a conference opponent like Pittsburgh. That's all I got for you guys right now. Overall, a great team win here in Pittsburgh tonight, and one that also saw a bit of a breakout by the Baldwinsville native J.J. Starling, a team-high 17 points for him, so we are so happy to see that for Starling, and happy to get another Syracuse win. We look forward to Miami this weekend at home at the Dome. For now, I'll send it back to you guys.
I appreciate Ashley doing the work from the road, and now it's some time for trivia to close out our men's portion of this week's OZ. Rachel, take it away.
Can't wait. All right, so Syracuse is Pitt's third most played opponent, 125 meetings. Ahead of Syracuse for Pitt is West Virginia and Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking specifically Syracuse now. Who are Syracuse's most played opponents, and where does Pitt rank? Who's in front of them?
Ooh, this is right up Moten's alley. I can tell.
Now I see. I understand why I thought that earlier.
Okay, got to tap in here.
Because honestly, the first time when I read the question, I thought it was saying these are Syracuse's most played opponents.
Okay.
I think that's why earlier I thought I knew the answer. But
I knew
don't.
it was going to be a failed sense of confidence for you, Sam. I just had a feeling.
So are we picking two teams?
It's three, right?
Three?
Well,
Can Pitt be one of Syracuse's in the top three, right?
so I'll give you that. Pitt is one of Syracuse's most played
Nice.
opponents, but I didn't tell you where they are in the ranking and who's above them. So there could be however many above them.
I won.
I have one I'm going to put into the table here. You guys let me know what you think. I think Colgate's one of them. Because I know that whenever they play, I always just think of it was, 50 years or whatever when they finally beat them, when Colgate finally won,
That's
and
a
they were
good
like,
answer.
it's been going back 100. Like, this feels like a triple-digit opponent for sure.
That's a
And
good
honestly,
answer,
I feel
Tom.
like I remember when we were preparing for that game, seeing notes like that they had played many, many times previously.
Granted,
I like
the
that one.
meetings number is insane on this.
I
Like,
know.
Pitt has played West Virginia 189 times. I do think we need to maybe think about, the crossover of Big East
I was
and
thinking
ACC, right? Because that's 2 a year. So Pitt does fit that mold, right? They came over. Who else came over from the Big East?
I like the
blanking.
Colgate thing.
Yeah.
I was kind of thrown off because I was just thinking ACC Big East.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't thinking Colgate. But, hey, I'm going to go because I'm a Hoya killer.
Yeah,
I'm going to say Georgetown.
I like that.
Okay.
And UConn.
There we go. All right. Lawrence has just tapped in. Sam, you got your three?
I am going to say Colgate.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, you should say Pitt, because remember, Rachel did say that Pitt was one of them.
Oh, she did.
Well, that could be yours. Well, no, she didn't say it was top three.
Yes, she did.
No, she didn't. She's like, I won't tell you where. She's like, or
Yeah,
are they top three?
I said they're ranked highly. I didn't say where.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I roll. I'm still going to say Pitt.
Okay.
I'm going to say Pitt. I'm going to say Colgate. And I'll say, I like UConn. I'll say UConn.
All right. I'll do Pitt, Colgate, Georgetown. Let's hear it.
All right. The most played opponent, Colgate, with
Okay.
175 games.
Great one.
Love that.
Great
Love
one.
that.
Number 2, Cornell,
Oh!
128. Number 3, Pitt,
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
with
all right,
125.
all right.
Do you have the fourth and fifth?
I have a couple more, yeah.
Okay. Hit us with them.
Number 4, Penn State,
For Syracuse?
with 106.
What?
And Georgetown's at 97.
Oh.
And then UConn comes behind St. John's with 90.
Okay.
All right.
I guess the moral of the story, and something we need to tap in on moving forward, is for stuff dating to the past, New York teams take precedent.
I know. You're right.
100%, more than you would ever realize. But that was good. Nice job, team.
We should have got Cornell.
We
though.
should have got Cornell.
We should have got.
I
Yeah.
thought about it for a second, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
because I was just more so thinking about Big East. But you got to remember, basketball didn't start in 1960.
Yeah.
They were wearing like leather shoes. They were wearing wood planks when they first started hooping between Cornell and Syracuse.
The rim was still a peach basket.
The rim was a beach basket. Exactly. All right, Orange Zone Podcast. Tommy Sladek, Samantha Croston, Lawrence Moten, Rachel Culver. We're out of here. See you next week. We got a bunch of more content coming out today, this week. So look out for it. See ya.